I would call on Admiral former Congressman Joe Sestak to come forth and speak.
Thank you very much.
And Joe, before you start,
I very much appreciate.
Joe, just 1 second. Joe will be followed by Mayor John Fetterman and Katie McGinty in that order, so we can keep moving. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Marcel, and thank you, everybody. I went off to war for about 12 months. Then I came home. My daughter had been born shortly before I departed. And shortly after I came back, she was struck with a malignant brain cancer, as most of you know, that only 8% of kids have ever survived. I got out of the Navy to take care of her. And that little warrior, once she was on the road to safety, I decided that I needed to stop being an independent and become a Democrat. I needed to become one of us because my duty, my payback tour for this nation, which had my back, with a wonderful health care plan called TRICARE, that gave her 3 brain operations, chemotherapy, and radiation, that salvaged her for me, that I wanted everyone to have that opportunity. But there's another reason I became a Democrat, Haiba. And the reason for that is I never realized in the military I was living in the Democratic Party. Everybody in the military has health care, including our families. You can't be promoted to be a senior enlisted unless you have an associate's college degree, or an officer for at least a master's, because we know that education is our homeland defense. Come on in and get a pension. And if you're out there flying an F-18 and you're a woman, you get the same exact pay as a guy flying over Afghanistan. And then we were able to have the first black man who ever was general of our military, General Powell, even 15 years before the first African American became president. Everybody in the military is a Democrat. We just didn't realize it. I came back to Republican District and I ran on our universal health care plan, but when I came home from being away for over 3 decades, and I came back to America, all I could thought about was what happened when I was gone. How could we have public officials vote to send me to war, to combat in Iraq where there were no weapons of mass destruction? How could they vote to repeal that protection over Wall Street and repeal it in '98 and then let that Wall Street melt down that actually gave us our tragic recession? How could we have a government that did not do post-Katrina well? Or here in Pennsylvania, 164 people every day were losing their health care plan, and as the Auditor General said, we began fracking when we weren't ready in the DEP, with a man named the oversight of the regulations to make sure that our water did not become like Flint's. My belief is that I saw the results of that. When I became a congressman, a month after the recession began, 18,000 of my fellow countrymen and women walked into my district office. Thousands came in during that recession, so many that we had to keep it open to 9 o'clock, 7 nights a week. We handled 4 times the constituency cases of the average congressional office. Why? It was our duty. We had to. They were hurting. 1,000 home foreclosures and sheriff's sales walked into our office. People who had autism, Magellan Insurance turned them down for the Medical Care Act. The medical care they had under Act 62 were denied. And then we had people who came in, seniors who had lost their savings. At the other end of 95, however, we went down there and salvaged this economy with an economic stimulus $800 billion, where it should have been $1.2 trillion if we really wanted to get out of this recession. We passed the Affordable Care Act, so we did achieve universal health care plan. And then we passed Dodd-Frank's that actually gave some referee on the football field for Wall Street. We did a lot, but all I could ever think about was this: who wasn't held accountable for Wall Street, for not finding those weapons of mass destruction, for vets who came home with traumatic brain injury and PTSD? When I left Congress, I turned down those lobbying jobs. I did not want to enrich because of my service in public office. I was pretty damn rich for having served this country as a congressman and as a Navy man. And so I went to teach. And then Kevin Washow, the executive director of the state committee, called and said, Governor Rendell is now out of office. We have no one to run around the state. Would you do it for us? 800 events I did for other Democrats throughout this state in 2011, 12, 13, and 14. The majority of them were in rural counties. And that's the reason I'm running today. I want to help bring back an integrity of service that can earn the trust of people. That, more than anything, is what I would like to do. And with that trust, help to restore the American dream, where education once more is our homeland defense, where we have an infrastructure investment that is no longer an anchor to the past, but a bridge to the future, and a health care plan for everyone that's improved to where, just like my daughter, you now have an opportunity to be all you might be. And finally, I'd like to bring the breadth and depth of my military experience and the foreign policy working for President Clinton down to the Senate. There is some deficit of it where people don't understand militaries might stop a problem, but we never fix a problem. Is there anyone here who thinks we fixed Iraq? And finally, I would say, if you want to take us to war, understand how to secure the peace. And with that, I would love to start now, because as John F. Kennedy said so well, the hour is late, but the agenda is long. And in the last 6 years, it has grown longer. And I ask for your support in order to begin on that agenda for people above anything else, people above party and type. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joe. All right.